Morning. I want to do a marker video where I think, because most of my stuff, it's just mood stuff or, my lame attempt at humor. But the NBA draft was tonight, and Chicago traded up to the number. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know why I don't, but I don't. They traded up to like the number 8, 9 position, I think. And a guy out of Texas named Dailyn Swain was picked. He was projected to go in the 20s, which would have been which would have been late first round. But I remember when he came out of Columbus, and it's close to home. I remember as a Xavier man, I remember he signed his letter of intent to play at Xavier under, I believe, it would have been maybe Sean Miller's first year, his first year returning to Xavier from his stint at Arizona. I'm not going to go into all that. Not necessary. I remember it. If you want to look it up, look it up. But I think it's important that he signed, and then Xavier, I believe, I believe they made a Sweet 16 appearance, and then they didn't make the tournament, and then they made the first four, and he was out. He and the team were out, and Coach Miller moves on to the University of Texas. More money, obviously chase the money one time at Arizona and chase the opportunity. This time, University of Texas. Look, he's not getting any younger. None of us are. He's in his 50s. He's going to make I think he's the best X's and O coach that I've seen in my lifetime. Regarding contemporary, people in my age bracket. And as of June 20th or something of 2025, transfer portal report here on ESPN had Dailyn Swain as the 43rd, ranked number 43 as far as what he brings to the table transferring from Xavier to the University of Texas. So he followed Miller to Texas. I remember Swain's first year at Xavier, and he's like 6'8". I think he was like 190 something pounds, so he hadn't put on any weight yet. And I was like, this guy has length. And he reminded me of Najee Marshall, who was probably, I think, the last player from Xavier he went undrafted, and then he really worked his tail off making it through the Pelicans system. Don't know if that's who he signed with initially, but he ended up getting a minor role in the Pelicans team, switching back from the G League, and then he ended up going to Dallas the year that I think Doncic left. But he had the same type of build. He signed at Xavier as a senior in high school, so it wasn't any transfer portal switches or anything like that. But he had the length, and he's doing pretty well for himself. He's still in the league, and last year I think he posted the best numbers of his career, Najee Marshall. And when I saw Swain, I remember him coming out of Columbus, but I remember him being fairly highly touted, but not really nationally recognized. But I said, this guy has skill. And if there's one thing I know, other than baseball and polishing knobs, it's college basketball. So he goes to Texas last year as the 43rd ranked person as far as impact moving forward to their new team. Well, in tonight's NBA draft, he goes number 8 to the Bulls, who, as I said earlier, moved up in the draft, a trade, I think, from Portland, because they wanted this guy. They see something else. He's a little bit raw still, but at his size, he's obviously he didn't grow any, so he had maxed out when he had come to college. But going from 190 to 220, he'll still put on some more weight. And I believe that this guy is going to be somebody who can make an immediate impact. Now, I know Chicago didn't fare too well this season, and I didn't follow the NBA as closely as I normally do. But they see something on the guy. I don't know who the GM is or director of player personnel for Chicago, but I remember seeing him. I was like, man, this guy he's got length. He has a feel for the game. He was handsy, made a lot of steals, got a lot of rebounds, could finish at the rim, and he had the length that you can't teach. You don't know what his wingspan is, but just he wasn't physically raw. He was smaller weight wise, but he had the intangibles. I could tell that the basketball IQ was higher, and the ceiling therefore would have been higher. So in 10 years from now, good Lord willing, hopefully I can refer back to this and say, you know what? I remember this guy. I remember seeing potential in him when he was a freshman at Xavier, and then he had a pretty good season transferring in the portal when he followed Miller to Texas, and he goes in the first round of the NBA draft. Xavier hasn't had a first-round draft pick, I think, since, I believe, David West was the last first-round pick, who ended up winning a ring eventually with Golden State. But he had 14,000 points in the league, 14 to 17,000, I think, probably closer to 14,000 points in the league. So he's the gold standard of Xavier man as far as professional ball goes. But I believe this guy may surpass him. We shall see. And so this is June 24th, 2026, long form video regarding the 2026 NBA draft. Take care, everybody.